with that, we're going to start Geno this week and give him an opportunity to show what he can do.
That's hard. It's been a hard day to handle this, but hang in there and figure it out. I'll back him up. I'll be a good teammate. I don't like it, but for football, you handle it and do my job.
Surprise is not the word. My sentiments are totally with Eli Manning. I love the kid. He's a class act. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion. I'm very upset about when I heard that.
I didn't like the way this was handled. It would have been understandable had they been giving the rookie quarterback a lot of work in the preseason, and he didn't even play.
I honestly thought it was pathetic. He's been out there 210 straight games with no telling how many bumps and bruises and injuries. You feel like the guy's earned the opportunity to finish it off. He's earned that to be able to go out there these last 5 weeks.
You're going to try and tell us that you got a better chance to win any game with Geno Smith? This is a desperate move. He's got a game plan. We haven't seen a game plan all year from this guy. You can't run this clown out of town fast enough.
The garbage that's been on the field for the Giants, guys that have clearly quit, and you didn't see fit to pull them off the field. But you so had to see whether Geno Smith could be your quarterback of the future and evaluate Davis Webb, where you embarrass one of the faces of the franchise.
You're playing guys who drop every ball in sight. You haven't disciplined a damn player all year, and you're going to blame this now on your quarterback at 2-9? What a gutless move. The worst thing ever happened is Eli Manning had to be associated with you as head coach. Maybe on your way out, you can take a look at Eli's rings. That's the closest you're ever going to get to one, too.
Eli, he is the New York, Giants. If you've moved on from Eli, you've decided to move on from him, just let him finish it out. I mean, your season, where are you going anyway?
I think a lot of Hall of Fame quarterbacks who've done a lot for a lot of teams haven't been able to choose the way that they get to move on. And I'm not saying that we're moving on, but at some point in time, you have to make hard, tough decisions for the best for the franchise.
Do you feel like you might have started your last game for the Giants? I don't know. I don't know. I'll take it one week at a time.
Obviously, a lot of strong reactions to the decision the Giants made this week to play the younger quarterbacks, which led to the Eli deciding, hey, don't start me just to start the streak. So it ends his streak of consecutive starts at 210, second longest by a quarterback in NFL history. The reaction to the benching and the process, and how the Giants got there under much scrutiny. Here now, Giants owner John Mara on what he thinks of what happened.
I wish I could have been here, when that was all going down. But what I did not expect, and this is my fault, that I was probably naive. I did not expect Eli to react by saying that, go ahead and start the other guys. And again, I understand, especially after speaking to him today, I completely understand that. But that took me by surprise a little bit. I didn't want him to go out like this, but I understand his feeling. I respect his decision. He doesn't want the streak to be tarnished by, just getting in for a few series or something. But I was hoping that he'd come in, he'd play, he'd be playing well, we'd have a chance to win the game, and maybe he'd stay in there or something. But he understands that at some point we've got to look at the other quarterbacks because he's not going to play forever. Again, we're 2-9. I mean, we're still going to try to win the games. I read something somewhere about, we intend the rest of the season. That's complete bullshit. I would never allow that. We're going to try to win the games. We're just going to have to try to do it with a different guy quarterback.
But you say that, but how can you tell your fans that Geno Smith and Davis Webb give you a better chance to win?
We'll have to
Eli
find
Manning?
out. We're 2-9. We'll have to find out whether they give us a better chance of winning. Let them play and see.
All right, for more on the Eli Manning situation, let's bring in our quarterback Hall of Famer Steve Young. You know him, of course, as the Sultan of Shore Road. Steve, it has been universally panned how the Giants handled this. What are your thoughts on how this all went down?
Well, you just saw it because what you heard, the emotion is really about the history of Eli and what he's done for the Giants, what he's done for the league. I mean, he's a gentleman warrior, 210 games in a row. And so you expect the people who are in charge, the people who are there that actually can make the call, to be as well informed and about the entire the totality, the holistic nature of what they're really talking about here. It's not just taking a look at a couple of quarterbacks who you might or might not be interested in. That seems like what drove the decision. And now you hear from the owner and you hear from the coach, and you can see That wasn't well thought out. We needed to talk to Eli, not putting him in a binary moment where he has to decide whether he's going to be just a puppet and then start and keep your streak alive or get out, that he was left with very little decision. So the whole thing's a mess because the guys who are in charge, the guys that have to make the big, they're the ones that are invested the biggest decisions, needed a much more holistic approach to this and have Eli be a part of that. Even if Eli's not the future, even if they've made the fundamental decision, Eli's not a part of the Giants' future, we still need to deal with the idea of who Eli is and what he's meant and what he's done so we can do this in a really, classy, best way. And it's clear, obvious, by the sound you just heard, that it's just a mess.
All right, so, Steve, let me put you in this scenario, okay? Let's say the 49ers came to you back in the day and said, hey, Steve, we know you've done great things for us, and we know you've had this consecutive streak going, but we got this guy named Elvis Gerbach, and we think he might be the future. So what we want to do is we want to trot you out there to start the game so you can keep your streak, but then we're going to take you off and let the other guys finish the game. How would you feel?
I told him to stick it. I would do exactly what he did. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to approach this, approach it over a period of time. Like, look, Eli, we don't necessarily want to bench you, but we've got to figure out how to get some players playing that we want to see and make him a partner in it. Like he's been a partner of yours for 16, 15, 14 years? Like, let's figure it out. Like, but the problem is you can't baby step that. You can't iterate that. Fundamentally, you have, because Eli, who he is and how long he's been there and what he's accomplished, he's either you have to put a stake in the ground. Eli's a part of our future or Eli's not a part of our future. And then go to those conversations with Eli around those two stakes you put in the ground. Eli, you're not a part of our future. We want to make this respectful. We want to figure out how to do this. Because I could handle that. If they came to me and said, look, you're not a part of our future, I'm man enough to say, okay, I get that. So what do you want to do about that? Well, what we want to do is X, Y, and Z. Well, I really want, but to not put a stake in the ground, well, we don't know what your future is. We're not sure what we want to do, but we want to have you play, but not play. I mean, that, to me, I would respond very much the same way. Hey, look, forget that.
I figured that's what you would say. All right, Hall of Famer Steve Young, the Raja of Round Hill Road. We'll see you a little bit later.
What's a Raja? What are you making this stuff up, Raja?
You've never heard the word Raja. You're an educated world traveler. You know what that is. I'm not buying. You know what? You say you don't know Raj, I'm going to tell you to stick it, okay? Because I know you know what that is. We'll talk to you a little later on the show. Hall of Famer Steve Young. Obviously, guys, this is generating a lot of passionate conversation around the NFL. And look, on some level, we get it. He's going to be 37 in January. He is finishing his 14th season. The Giants do need to know whether or not he's going to be their future or they think they have the guy already on that roster. But how this was handled, Herm, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I don't think when they decided to do this, they didn't understand the impact of how this would affect this whole organization. An organization that's really been pretty classy over its history. They've had a couple bad spots, but for the most part, they've handled things right. This was a drop of the ball, to say the least. When you have a guy like Eli Manning that has played 210 games, and there's a rule of thumb when you deal with players and people in general. You treat everyone fair, you don't treat everyone the same. And he goes into that category of you don't treat him the same, okay? This guy he is worthy enough for you to have a conversation and say, this is a situation we're in. Similar to what Steve Young just said. You're the starting quarterback. You're the starting quarterback as long as you can go out there. But we're trying to find out about two other guys. How do we go about doing that? Help us to figure that out, right?
You're talking. Yeah, I agree with you 100% because you're talking about the quarterback position and coming up along the ranks of football. One thing you eventually learn, guys, the quarterback position is different. Especially at the NFL. Right. The relationship from the quarterback to the head coach, how the quarterback relays everything your head coach wants to the offense, and then it trickles down through the defense and your team. The quarterback should be the leader of your team. And I listen to Ben McAdoo and what he keeps saying about giving us the best chance to win, giving us the best chance to win. Eli Manning is the better quarterback here. I mean, Geno Smith and a rookie, it's not a debate. Eli Manning gives you the best chance to win. You handled it poorly. It's the New York Giants, and right now they look like a clown show to me, okay? That's how I feel about this because there are better ways to handle this. Why even tell Eli? Why? Let him prepare as the starter. You go out there, he plays poorly, you come in at halftime, Eli, we're going to put Geno in. That's it. He was benched because of poor play, which is what happened to many great quarterbacks before.
His brother,
Brady was benched in Kansas City in the fourth quarter a couple years ago when they looked terrible. Just do it that way. Why tell a guy and have a plan like that, and then, of course, the pride in him that Steve Young, you saw his reaction, and Eli probably said, "You kidding me? It's either I go all the way or I don't go at all. So go ahead and start somebody else." He put him in a bad spot.
Look, Teddy makes a great point, because when you've played 210 games
straight,
you said it right, straight.
Yeah.
And there's been some good ones and some not so good ones and some bad ones. When you're the quarterback or any player, if it's Teddy Bruschi, if it's Herm Edwards playing, and you're struggling, you want to finish it out. You don't get to tap out and say, you know what, this is the fourth quarter now, I don't want to play anymore because the score is out of reach. No, you're not built that way as an athlete. You want to finish the deal. That's who you are. That's who Eli Manning is.
You don't know what you're going to get out of Eli Manning. You don't know. You could get 2 quarters of garbage, all right? You could get 2 quarters of brilliance, and all of a sudden, man, we're out there, we're winning this game, keep him in. We don't need to see you guys right now. But it was just handled. They dropped the ball, just like everyone's saying, and it's the New York Giants, and it makes me upset.
Something got lost in translation, because this started with John Mara saying to Jerry Reese a few weeks ago, we need to get a look at the other quarterbacks. But I don't think he meant it in this way, to where they came up with a plan where Eli was going to get the start and play one half, and then Geno Smith or Davis Webb would come on and play the second half. So where the message started and where it wound up is in an entirely different place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let me say this, too. Let me say this. Everybody talks about the future of the GM and the head coach now. You got 5 games left.
Yes.
If it's in your plan to fire them after this year, then you just let basically someone who's going to coach just the next 5 games for you treat Eli Manning this way and bench him this way, and he's going to be gone. Now, now Eli Manning relationship is exploding also. You let him do that. Someone that's not even going to be there next year. So I say he better be there next year. He better be in your plans to continue on, because obviously you've chosen his decisions over the quarterbacks.
Well, sometimes you can just look at the words, right? So let's go back a few weeks ago to where there was
November
pressure
13th.
on the Giants. November 13th is the day, Trey, right? This is what John Mara and Steve Tisch said about their head coach on November 13th. Our plan is to do what we've always done, not offer a running commentary in the season, which they did yesterday. It's our responsibility to determine the reasons for our poor performance, and at the end of the year, we will evaluate the 2017 season in its entirety and make a determination on how we move forward. So let's fast forward to yesterday. They asked him about Ben McAdoo's future, and the answer was, there are no guarantees in life, which was a much different tone than what we heard on November 13th.
And let me just say this, okay? Look, I have great respect for the Giants organization and John Mara.
We all do, yes.
But if they didn't understand how Eli Manning would react if they said, go out there and be a ceremonial show pony for a start to keep your streak alive, and then we're going to do something else, that means they don't know who their player is after having him on their roster for 14 years.
Well, let me ask you one thing.
Right?
Unaware.
Yeah, right.
Unaware.
Let me ask you guys one thing. We're all sitting up here. If you tell me in a football game, unless a guy gets injured, you're going to play 3 quarterbacks, what message does that send a team of trying to win a game?
Yeah.
And I understand what the record is. I've had some bad records as a head coach. I get that part. But you try to win the game.
Say it, Herb. Say it one time. Why do you play? Why do you play?
You're trying to win a football game.
Say it.
Okay, so when you tell the team, hey, by the way, we're going to play 3 quarterbacks today. Those guys in the locker room are going, what? 3 quarterbacks? You can't do that, coach.
You don't play the game just to play it.
Oh, stop it. Don't
No, say it. Come on, say it.
Look, you have an obligation to all those players in that locker room to formulate a game plan where you have a chance to win a game.
Herm, make our day.
Say it.
Say
it. Come on.
It doesn't come out naturally. It comes out naturally.
You play to win the game.
And don't forget the jingle. Hello.
And we hello.